Dog growled at the child every night. Parents were horrified when they learned the reason. For months, Emily and John lived with an unsettling mystery. Their dog, a gentle golden retriever named Max, began acting strange every night. As the clock ticked past midnight, he would stand at the foot of their son Jacob's bed, growling low and deep, his eyes locked on the darkness in the corner of the room. No matter how much they called out to him or tried to calm him, Max refused to back down. His growls became more desperate, his body tense and rigid. At first, Emily and John thought it was just a bad habit, something Max had picked up. Maybe it was a dream, or perhaps some passing noise outside. But soon, the growls grew louder, more insistent, and more terrifying. Jacob, their usually fearless 5-year-old, began to complain of feeling scared at night. He would press his tiny body into the corner of the bed, pulling the covers tightly around himself, eyes wide and filled with dread. "Mom, I don't like when Max does that. It feels like something's watching me." Emily tried to comfort him, brushing it off as overactive imagination. But she couldn't shake the growing feeling that something was terribly wrong. She spent hours reading up on dog behavior, seeking explanations, but none of the usual signs seemed to fit. Max wasn't sick, nor was he stressed. His love for Jacob was as strong as ever, and during the day, he was his usual playful self. The odd behavior only happened at night. One night, after another round of Max's nightly growling, Emily couldn't take it anymore. She decided to stay up and watch. As the clock struck midnight, Max again stood at the foot of Jacob's bed, his growls vibrating through the room. Emily felt the hairs on her neck rise as she watched him, his focus unwavering. Suddenly, she saw it. A faint movement in the corner of the room. It was barely perceptible, but there was something there, just outside the pool of moonlight. A shadow. Her heart raced, and she felt a chill crawl down her spine. She grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. As the light swept over the corner, her breath caught in her throat. There was nothing, just the empty space she had been staring at all along. Confused, she turned to Max. "Max, what are you seeing?" she whispered. But Max's eyes remained locked on the spot, growling more fiercely, his body now trembling. Emily's mind raced. Could it be possible? Was there something in the house? She had to find out. The next day, she called in a specialist, a paranormal investigator, someone who was used to dealing with the unexplainable. When he arrived, he immediately set to work, sensing something was off from the moment he stepped into the house. After some tests, he confirmed the worst. "There's a presence here," he said gravely, looking down at the floor, "and it's attached to your child." Emily felt her heart stop. "It's not just in the room," the investigator continued. "It's attached to the energy of your son. The growling is Max's instinct. He's protecting him." Emily and John looked at each other, horrified. What did that mean? Was something trying to hurt Jacob? The investigator explained that the presence was not malicious but connected to Jacob's past, something he had carried unknowingly from a previous life. In a past that neither of them had known about, Jacob had been the victim of a tragic accident as a child. The presence was a remnant of that life, a lost soul drawn to him, a haunting memory. Max, with his innate sense of danger and protection, had known long before they did. His growls were not out of anger or fear, but of a desperate, instinctive warning. He was trying to protect Jacob from whatever lingered. For weeks after the revelation, Emily and John worked with the investigator to help free Jacob from the lingering presence. They held a ceremony, filled with prayers and cleansing rituals, and slowly, the shadow in the room began to fade. But it wasn't just the room that changed. It was Jacob. His nights became peaceful again, and Max returned to his gentle, loving self. The bond between the dog and the boy grew even stronger, now forged in the knowledge of their shared guardianship. As time went on, Emily and John would often wonder about the strange, unexplainable events that had once haunted their family. They never quite understood how Max had known, or how the spirit had found its way to Jacob. But they knew one thing for sure. Sometimes the bonds we share with our pets are more than we could ever explain. And as Max lay by Jacob's side every night, his tail wagging contently as he rested, Emily couldn't help but whisper, "Thank you,